Okay, so here I am, and I'm back with another video here. Today we're going to be talking about Blackkklansman, okay? So if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, banter back and forth in the comments, let me know what you think. So it's award season, and I just finished watching Blackkklansman, and if you're not familiar with this film, it was produced by Jordan Peele and Spike Lee, which is awesome. You know, Jordan Peele is on a roll, man. This guy's just developing stuff left and right, horror films, all sorts of stuff, man. It was just like, and like for me, I just thought, oh, this guy, you know, is just, you know, comedy, sketch comedy stuff. This guy's just taking Hollywood by the horns, man, and he's just rolling with it. So it's really cool. So Spike Lee directs this movie. It's Spike Lee joint. And it takes place in the 1970s. I'll read what it says in the bio. So in the midst of the 1970s civil rights movement, Ron Stallworth, which is played by John David Washington, which is Denzel Washington's son. And I have to say, man, I first saw him in Ballers. And I didn't know who he was because I just started watching the show when it first came out. And he just, every time I closed my eyes, I could hear Denzel's voice. And I was like, man, that guy sounds so much like Denzel Washington. And then I find out later, oh, it's Denzel Washington's son. When you close your eyes, he sounds like Denzel. It is crazy. I mean, genetics just passed on down. And okay, so he plays a character named Ron Stallworth, who becomes the first black detective on the Colorado Springs Police Department. And he sets out to prove his worth by infiltrating a local chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. He poses as a white guy on the phone in order to get in there, and then he suckers Adam Driver, who plays another detective who's a Jewish colleague, to go undercover as him, as the white supremacist. So they mimic each other's voices. So he's got kind of like this very neutral voice, and then Adam Driver has like this voice. And so he sets up the thing, and then Adam Driver goes on and infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan. This movie's rated R for strong language throughout, racial slurs, disturbing violent material, and sexual references. There was no sex in the movie, just some references, but I will say some of the disturbing stuff is where, like, Harry Belafonte's in this film towards the end of the movie, and he's a public speaker speaking to the Black Student Union on the campus where this takes place in Colorado Springs. And he tells an amazing story and a very sad story about a lynching that happened in the United States. And they show photos of the lynching, and it's very moving, it's very powerful, and it was one of the surreal moments in the movie. This movie's like a dramedy, so it's like it's got comedy in it that only like Spike Lee can, you know, put on screen with these kind of subject matters, and but it's heavy. This is a heavy movie. It's based on a true story too. Topher Grace is in the film, which was really cool. It's so funny. He just pops up in movies, either very artistic films or mainstream movie. He's just all over the place. I like Topher Grace. And he plays David Duke, the real life white supremacist. He was the grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan at the time, and he actually talks to him on the phone back and forth, and then meets him in person and all sorts of stuff. The John David Washington's character. Michael Buscemi is in this movie, who is the brother of Steve Buscemi. Yeah, I haven't really noticed him in too many films. He's got a long IMDb. He's been doing a lot of work for years, and but he looked like Steve Buscemi, and I was like, God, man, that guy looks just like Steve Buscemi. What is that all about? And then, sure enough, he's his brother, so that was really cool. Like I said, Adam Driver's in the film. Robert Burke is in the film. He plays the head of the cops. The police department there. He played RoboCop in RoboCop 3, and he's a great character actor, and he's been doing all sorts of stuff, whether it's television. Robert Burke is always a class guy and really good actor to have in your film. So, oh, and one more I got to mention, Corey Hawkins is in this film, and he played Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton, which he did a fantastic job in that. And he's gone on to do other things. I think he did a reboot of 24 that came out not too long ago, and he's constantly working. But he played a really cool character, Kwane Torre, I think that's how you say his name. He had a name and then changed it because he had become a Black Panther. This is the character in the movie. And he was at speaking to the Black Student Union. Once again, there's this motif where they kind of, the student union is involved in the film. And he talks and he gives this amazing monologue, which, you know, and some of it didn't cut, like there weren't a lot of cuts in it. So he had to just keep preaching and preaching about all the stuff that you would expect in this film, you know, how to bring the Black people up and how they should be treated and all this. It was amazing stuff. And I will say, this is one of Spike Lee's, I can't find a way to describe it, but more beautiful film. There was just so many beautiful frames in this film. One thing, when Corey Hawkins was doing his speech at the Student Union, it would intercut with these actors' faces in shadow, and they would just pop up like this on the screen and all over and it was just beautiful. And they were just staring at Corey as he delivered these remarks. And it was a moving segment of the movie that was very powerful. I loved, you know, it takes place in 1970, so all the cool cars, all the cool clothes, the music was great. Everything felt of that time period. I will say, after Adam Driver like infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan, there were a lot of moments that just you know, made you cringe. You know, they dropped the N-word all over the place in this movie, and it's mostly from like the actors portraying like these really redneck white supremacist people, and you know, it's disturbing. It's honestly, it's disturbing, and it should be disturbing to hear. And it was, you know, it made you uncomfortable. It made you, oh God, I can't believe they talk like that all the time openly back then in the 70s and even in the 60s during the race riots. And it's just so weird to hear it. And, you know, I got to hand it to the actors that were in all these roles for all the different characters that played the white supremacists. That had to be hard to do. Like, for me as an actor, that's not a movie I would have wanted to portray people like that, because it's the language is just so harsh, and what they say and how they're going to kill all the N-word, all this. I mean, it's just rough. It's just rough to hear. So, you know, and that's probably why I didn't see this movie in the theater, because I kind of knew a little bit about what it was about, but didn't want to rush out and see it, because I was like, you know, I got to be in a certain mood to hear certain things and to be kind of, and I knew it was going to be one of those movies that, and then again, like when Harry Belafonte goes into this whole lynching thing and they're actually showing the photos, it's just really disturbing. But this movie was great. It was beautifully shot, beautifully edited. The music was great. All the acting was on par. Fantastic film. You should check out Blackkklansman if you get a chance. And it's up for all sorts of awards, or they want you to consider them, because, you know, all the screeners are out now to consider this movie for, you know, best director, best picture, and so on and so on. So it's something to think about. And I will say the ending credits were also really emotional too. Just before the ending of the film, they showed real footage from the Charlottesville. So like when you think all this stuff took place in the 70s and oh, it's over, it's not, you know, that stuff is over. People aren't doing that anymore. Then they show all the stuff from Charlottesville, Virginia, and the footage of the car running over the woman and all this stuff. And you're just kind of left at the end, just before the credits roll. You're like, oh, shit. Like, have we come far enough? I mean, it's just sad. It's just really sad to relive that stuff. But movies like this and showing footage like that, you know, it keeps this thing kind of in the sightlines, so we don't forget and we don't pretend that stuff like this doesn't happen even in 2018 going into 2019. So my hat's off to Spike Lee for once again delivering an amazing film that has a great message, but it had some comedy light moments in it which made you laugh. So whenever it got really, really heavy, you'd have a laugh, and then you'd go back into that really heaviness, and you'd have to start thinking and doing some cerebral stuff here about, you know, where the world is, and then you'd have that laugh if you could breathe again and relax. But it left you on a somber note, and it should have. So anyway, I really enjoyed the movie Blackkklansman. Check it out. If you like this video, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, share this on social media, and we'll see you on the next video.